Ready Check Radio. Oh, it's good to hear that music again. It's been a while. Welcome back. It's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for the Relic Grind, the Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. Thank you so much for hanging out. Welcome to the show. If you get a chance to join us live, do so. Twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. My theater show is done. I'm in auditions for another one. However, this will not impact the Relic Grind, at least, besides the 2 weeks of the show next month, like mid to late June. Other than that, no rehearsals on Thursdays, so we're good to go for the Relic Grind. It's awesome to be there. I forgot my... Look, see, I'm out of practice. I forgot my episode number banner around it, so you just deal with my name. Head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. I knew I forgot something. I had everything else. And I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, that's what I was missing. I feel naked. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Audible, Spotify, any of those podcast platforms, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Give it a like, a subscribe, turn on those notifications, and let us know your opinions in the comments below. And, of course, join us live sometime, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Joining me to talk all kinds of fun stuff in Final Fantasy XIV and Square Enix, and maybe some not-so-fun stuff. Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, boss?
Greetings, programs. It's so good to be back. What was it, like a month? My goodness.
Yeah, I think we had, it was at least 3 weeks. I didn't go back and look, but it was at least three consecutive shows.
And I'm in a new space. Things are going well. So, and now apparently I need to become a Mountain Dew addict. So, hey.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a moment because we got somebody on the line that don't know shit about that offer. And that'd be Paul Berlin, a.k.a. Flynn. What's up, sir?
Hello. Oh, the live letter.
The 5-hour live letter.
Yeah.
The 5-hour.
I would say for every moment.
Letter. I mean, it didn't have to be 5 hours, though. Like, it really didn't. They're not saying that there wasn't some good info there. There was, but it didn't have to be 5
It could have been a lot longer.
Yeah, we're going to get one more before Dawntrail actually releases. So we have that to look forward to. We're going to talk about the live letter in just a second. But, gents, I want to catch up with you. What have you been doing on the Square Enix or Final Fantasy XIV front, Tark? I mean, in the MMORPG itself, really, we just have events being triggered every other day, it seems like. And from now until Dawntrail, it seems like they really just want you to stay in the gold saucer and don't go anywhere else. Just stay in the gold saucer, all of you. We've seen Yokai come back. We've got the Fall Guys event coming back again. That was announced for the live letter. That was a pretty quick turnaround on that one to get that event. And other events, Make It Rain is going on right now. Yep. So a lot of events, but nothing new. Like if you've been playing the game for years, you've done these events. Even the rewards aren't new. Fall Guys being a little, maybe an exception to that since it's more recent. So that's new-ish. But, nothing new on the Yokai front. So go bang out the events.
I wanted my new minions for my new jobs that came out. Come on.
Right. People wanted new weapons, too. So what have you been doing on the Square Enix front of things there, Tark?
All my extra time really has been going to getting my jobs up and going to Omega Protocol. So it's been nothing but that. I haven't even played barely a lick of Rebirth. I've done my Ready Check Radio streams, but otherwise it's been top and leveling, and that's it. So
why? What are you after?
For top?
Yeah.
I don't know, to finish it before.
You just want the clear?
Yeah.
No, that's why I'm asking.
I need a clear.
You just want the clear?
And Omni 90. Let's go.
What about you, Flynn? What are you doing on the Square Enix front?
Well, in 14, my raid group most of the way through phase 1 of P12S now. We've made a decision finally. Yeah, let's watch a guy. We've done enough blind prog to whack our head against the wall multiple times. Other than that, finished Rebirth, finished the Rising Tide DLC in 16. and now just relaxing in between.
Yeah, I'm so behind on things. I am not done with Rebirth yet, and as Flynn and I were talking about pre-show with Faye, who will be streaming after the show. Make sure you stick around for that. I still have the Star Ocean R remake sitting there. I still have the Super Mario RPG remake sitting there. And then non-Square Enix, I've got Stellar Blade and other games just like sitting there waiting for me. Because most of my time has been taken up now that Torchwick is back for the summer. We've got our schedule of Final Fantasy trading card game events for the 2024 competitive season. We're both trying to punch our ticket to Nats. Even my oldest son is in on it now. We're headed to Chicago next weekend for the Materia Cup in Chicago, and then there'll be local qualifiers and other Materia Cups that we'll be at. So we're still scheduled to have a show Thursday next week. I'm not leaving until Friday morning. If it's really, really like dead on the Square Enix front, I might just give the gang the night off next Thursday and not force a show out when I'm going to be leaving early Friday morning. But if there's Square Enix news that's worth covering, we will absolutely have a show next week. So we'll play it by ear. We'll let you know on Twitter Wednesday. So make sure you're following us on Twitter. So for me, Square Enix, it's been all Final Fantasy TCG all the time right now. Can't wait. I didn't even do Rising Tide DLC for 16 yet. Like I told you, I don't have time right now.
The DPS
don't stop making
check in that
faces at
DLC, man.
Is it rough?
There's one moment it took 7-8 attempts to get through.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
No MMO
really
Bomb
teamed
podcast
up.
next Friday. There will be one tomorrow, but there won't be one next Friday.
But the DLC was fantastic. Tombree's scary.
We'll get to that in a few seconds when we get past the 14 stuff. So let's start with the live letter, which primarily was all about jobs, right? This was a chance to show off Viper, to show off Pictomancer, and to show off maybe some of the skills and things that are coming to all the other jobs with the level cap increase that we're getting in Dawntrail as well. So I'm going to show the jobs trailer here while we're talking about the whole thing. Now, there were some other things. Let's stick to jobs first, because I know there's another particularly big topic that might be a little divisive. We'll see where everybody stands on it on this show. But Tark, what'd you think going through, seeing Viper in action, seeing Pictomancer in action, seeing some of the job changes? Obviously, we're not going to detail all of them here, but there are a few worth mentioning, like my Black Mage's ley lines, which we'll get to in a minute. What do you think, Tark?
The trailer was kind of like all other job trailers. It was exciting, flashy. You can try to guess about what some job abilities are. As far as what piqued my interest, Sage, nothing crazy there. I was, hoping to hear about another Phlegma stack. AOE,
Yeah, Sage,
is
like,
kind of cool. It's like, okay. Not going to be used in raids, really, so...
Yeah.
And then Summoner piqued my interest. I was hoping for a third big primal. Did not see Soul Bahamut come out of nowhere. I was thinking more like Alexander would be nice. But
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of job changes and new actions, so go check out the full post if you want to see all of them. But, of note for me was Astrologian's card system.
Yeah.
Kind of really got some changes, right?
Yeah.
No longer being random. They got the offensive, defensive, and curative effects. Astro signs are gone, right? They're leaving. Dragoon's fifth AOE is no longer directional. That's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Monk's basic combo mechanics aren't centered around maintaining buffs or dots anymore, and a lot of Bard abilities have been changed into buffing abilities that no longer attack the enemies. And Black Mage is, of course, getting a new ability that lets us move our ley lines around, but it is, limited time. So, unfortunately, you're not going to be dragging them with you all over the place, which would have been my ideal scenario. Just let me drag these all over the place there. Flynn, what'd you think of the jobs themselves, showing off the new jobs, and some of the details?
I'm very excited about a few jobs. So there's one thing I took away just from the job trailer is 80% of classes now have some sort of tactical nuke. Just it's big explosions from space.
Yeah.
But like I posted in the Discord earlier with the summoner with the Solar Bahamut, when it's using its main abilities, you got the Azem summoning circle on the floor, which is weird lore-wise, maybe. But as a Final Fantasy VIII fan, I am beyond hype for Lionheart. The fact that, continuation in Japan is Renzazuken, so it's a full-on scroll limit break all the way through now. I am crazy out for that. Warriors looking amazing. Dragoon, I like the changes. Reducing some OGCDs, which is absolutely fantastic because it's way too busy. It's no longer the job with the most positionals.
Yeah, Viper, by the way, looked real fast. Like, I expected it to be fast, right? Just by the nature of its class. It was real fast. It was very, very fast. Yeah, did they bring back Summoner Aggies? No.
Carbuncle still does nothing.
Yeah, you ain't getting those anymore. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Pictomancer? Yeah, I'm still interested. Like, and I've said it before, neither of these two classes really, really does it for me. Like, I was maining a black mage, and then you're just waiting for red mage, and when it was shown off, I was like, yes! And now they've been my two mains with kind of white mage right there, depending on if my groups need heals, as my mains that I play all the time. None of these, I don't think, are going to become my main, but I am a little interested in Pictomancer. I want to see how that is actually implemented in a meaningful way, now that blue mage was not, right? So, well, we'll have to see. Are you, Tark, interested still in either of these classes as, maybe this could be your main, or are you kind of in the same boat I am, even after this Live Letters reveal of, these may be fun, I may dabble in them, but they aren't replacing what I do?
Pictomancer, I'm never going to not be a healer main. So with that set aside, like I play Summoner for top. Like, I don't know if I would switch off of that to do Pictomancer for an ultimate. Like, it seems, maybe I'm wrong, Pictomancer seems very stationary, like more stationary than Black Mage?
Really isn't.
No?
There's a difference between the job as a trader versus when Yoshi was in game, and it's so mobile.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Okay.
Yeah,
the job as a trader does not sell it.
It can't be as mobile as Summoner, but I mean, I can get around them.
It's like a mix between Summoner and like Red Mage, Black Mage.
Yeah, when he was actually playing it, I didn't get that impression at all. You know, and this is somebody that mains in part a black mage, so knows a bit about. I gotta fucking stand still most of the time. For God's sakes, don't move, man. Don't move. Yeah, when you got the hammers, it moves all over. Yeah,
I really appreciate that your free easels can be prepped before combat without a cost, so you can refresh all of them as you go between pulls.
Viper. Okay, so I want to use Viper to segue into what I want to talk about next as part of the live letter, because if you watched the kind of gameplay preview of Viper, you also kind of got to see the new action change setting in, well, for lack of a better word, action. And so Viper looked kind of Viper looked kind of built for this system, or this system was built because of how they wanted Viper to work. So in the easiest terms to explain the new action change settings is to think of it kind of like a combo system. Other MMORPGs have done this before. In fact, I think the first one I ever personally played that did this was Terra. Back in the day, back in the Game Breaker days, where you would trigger ability A, which would then give you the ability to trigger ability B through some stacks, or maybe it was just one leads into another, whatever criteria. And the way, I think, and again, I could be misremembering this, I'm pretty sure it was Terra the first time I saw this. You basically just hit the same button over and over and over again. So like if you had it mapped to spacebar, you had it mapped to 5 or whatever it was, you would trigger the ability by pressing 5, and then it would pop up next to your character, and tell you, hey, if you press spacebar, we'll go to the next thing in the combo. If you press spacebar, we'll go to the next thing in the combo. And you could just go through your entire quote-unquote rotation for that particular ability. Due to button bloat, which Final Fantasy XIV is definitely a victim of, and it's going to get slightly worse, right, in Dawntrail, since we're adding 10 levels and everybody's getting some new abilities here and there. They are also implementing this type of combo system. Now, they kind of went out of their way to say that this is not a DPS thing. Like, that's not what this is for. I think they're lying, but that they did go out of their way to say that this was not DPS related. That this was more helping newer players or people that wanted less action bars.
Yeah,
so the
bring
way
up controller players as well.
Controller players, definitely. So this is totally optional, by the way. You can turn it on or off in the settings. So it is totally optional. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But it's going to do replacement. It's not going to do the like pop up next to your character like Terra did. It's going to be replacement on the hotbar. So the example that they gave in kind of their graphic here is the Dragoon's jump into elusive jump, right? And so the jump icon would be there until you triggered it, and then it would change to elusive jump for you to go to the next one. Meaning that you don't have to technically, for this example only, have elusive jump on a hotbar. You just got to put jump there, and then when you use jump, it'll change to elusive jump. And there will be some customization to what you can do with this. And again, totally optional, but Tark, very, very divisive. If you go and check out the forums or Reddit after the show, a lot of people not on board with this even being a feature, even though, repeat, totally optional.
It's a little confusing, especially with that kind of combo there. Like,
yeah, it was a weird example.
Yeah, like what if you want to use your elusive jump in spite of your jump? Well, then you got to have that on the bar anyways, because otherwise jump's just going to cover the elusive jump, right? Am I getting that wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
At least the way I understood it, yeah, is replacing it on the hotbar.
So if you want to use elusive jump, but not your jump quite yet because of a burst window or something, you got to have it on your bar anyway. So like it restricts your choice and what abilities can be used in what order, I guess. That sounds weird. And then I've seen that for a couple of other things like chain stratagem, and then you can use another ability after that. Searing light, so you got buffs, and then you can do stuff after that. So I mean, I'll give it a try. I'm not gonna be Debbie Downer on until I, see it in action and play with it myself. But it just seems weird.
Where are you landing at this one, Flynn?
I think that screenshot is incorrect for what it is, because currently jump turns into Mirage Dive on Dragoon, if I recall.
Well, that's why I said the combo that they show in the shot here kind of makes no sense, but it's the image they used.
Yeah, but as a controller player, knowing that Gunbreaker
well, and that's the other thing too, right? Like people are all up in arms and fighting against this, but nobody really knows what it's actually going to do.
Like Gunbreaker's had this treatment for continuation in Endwalker, because if I add those extra buttons, I would run out of room. Never mind, let's say Paladin with a Confiteor combo. If all the extra buttons of Lab were extra buttons, Paladin's already got way too many buttons as it is. So it makes sense for jobs to have some sort of homogenization to make life easier.
Yeah, and again, if you want the things to change,
is nice though.
If you want the things to change, you can have it, and if you don't have to. And so obviously, like, there's a big portion of this that is, let's just be mad for being mad's sake, and it's not like defining your rotation. Right? They're not. At least they don't seem to be. The way it was explained, and maybe they just didn't do a good job explaining this. In the live letter, which is certainly a possibility, right? It's not like they haven't done that before. This isn't like your normal combos, right? Like you would lead one ability to another,
not
to
1, 2,
another,
3.
to another. It's not exactly like that. So when they were saying, hey, this isn't for DPS purposes, yeah, I kind of feel like it is to a certain extent. But I also do want to give them a little bit of credit that the way that it was explained, at least, this does not affect normal combos. So it really wouldn't be geared towards DPS if that's the case, Tark.
Yeah, I mean, if it's what Flynn said, if it's Mirage Dive after the jump, that just makes sense because that's what just leads into it. And I guess Dragoon already has something like that.
And they do kind of do this in PvP, right?
Yeah.
In the
they do it in
PvP
PvP.
combo
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, you have Nastron, Gear Skogul. You know, Gear Skogul leads into Nastron, so it's something that's already kind of been in the game already. They're just putting an emphasis on it for all jobs to have something like this to reduce the button bloat. So, okay, I'm for it. Let's go.
They were speaking of PvP, by the way. They like very briefly and just a couple basic announcements talked about PvP. There were like general things. They do plan to talk about PvP at a later point, so that'll probably be a substantive portion of the next live letter. And then we got kind of just some general announcements and showing off some of the new characters we'll see in Dawntrail, and all kinds of events that are coming between now. And like I've said before, we have the Fall Guys event coming back. We've got Make It Rain going on right now. Everything seems to just be sending everybody to the gold saucer and telling them, stay here and do gates and farm some Moogle tomes, and then we'll see you in Dawntrail. And then we got a couple of promotional events. Now, if you live in Japan, you're getting your KFC event back. So congrats. If you didn't chicken it up last time, chicken it up now. Here in North America, Square Enix is running an event, or going to be running an event, cross-promotion with Mountain Dew, where if you buy physical Mountain Dew products, you'll be given codes. You can enter those codes, get points, and points can be used to buy things like the Mountain Zoo mount, a reskin of the Zoo mount that we currently have. And then we get to the events that Flynn, being in the EU, can take part in. Checks notes.
Nope.
None.
Sorry. It's empty. Sorry.
What?
Temper the excitement.
What? What is going on? This is a global MMO, right? Like, I'm not crazy.
What's even worse is for the EU promotions, the way the UK does it and mainland Europe does it are always completely bloody different. So things go out of whack here so much. Like, I think when we had, the Fat Chocobo, the Goku style outfit, the Monkey King stuff. In mainland Europe, it was just buy food or buy something from a market or something. In the UK, we had to subscribe to a magazine for 3 months to get the codes. So yeah, they just don't like us over here.
I'm sure it was something GDPR related. And that's the answer you get for everything. It's GDPR related. That's why. I mean, this one's really fucking weird to me, guys. Like, come on. You can't possibly convince me that while they were sitting in the room planning events for their MMORPG that's global, that somebody in the room didn't go, are we forgetting anybody? Are we forgetting anybody?
No, this is all that matters.
Are we forgetting anybody?
Yeah, JP's go. We got the food. America, you got the drinks. EU, just shuffle off in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, and I've seen, and I can't confirm these, but I have seen rumors that the Mountain Dew thing is like 100 points a cap, and the mount is like 600 points. Again, don't take those points as gospel. That's just what I've seen kind of leaked and discussed. I don't know if I should say leaked. It wasn't technically leaked, but that's kind of what I see the rumor being. So go grab yourself a 6-pack of 20-ounce Mountain Dew bottles and come on back and crack all 6 caps. I used to be a really heavy Mountain Dew guy, like when I was many pounds heavier. So it's very rare that I drink a Mountain Dew, but there will be at least a 6-pack or a 12-pack in my house. That's right, because Torchwick's going to want one of these damn things too. And I'm not even a Mount guy, but these ones are like easy. Go get. Some stores specific flavors are worth 200. Okay, all right. So Uber Fuzzy saying some of the store specific flavors are worth 200. Yeah, we get like all kinds of different Mountain Dew here to Flynn. Do you guys like get that stuff? Like the oddball Mountain Dew flavors that like you can only get at KFC or you can only get at Taco Bell.
Blast,
baby.
Only Baja Blast.
So
Baja
Mountain Dew
Blast.
isn't
Yeah.
as
That's in
crazy
stores
over
now.
here.
Finally, yeah.
We get the green normal Mountain Dew, and certain shops will import some flavors, but I don't think we
You don't
any
get Code
others.
Red? Oh,
No.
I'm so sad for you.
It's like I have to go to a local shop that's alternate American flavors. Every once again, it's like, oh, here's Fago. It's like, oh, okay, let's try that. Or, what's one that
Ninja Pandas is saying Tesco.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember some of the other big American ones we to get over every now and then.
Yeah, that's really weird. I recently just saw, like, I think just in my feed somewhere, right? There was a video of, I don't know if it was UK. It was a European country, but I don't think it was the UK. Where they were like, people that have never tried American Mountain Dew, try American Mountain Dew. And it was like, these people that are like, my God, this is sweet as hell. Like, there's way too much sugar in this. And they're like, yeah, Americans give this to their kids. Like, it's a pop. It's just a treat in the United States. And there's others that are like, this tastes like piss. And it looks like piss. But it is. It's like so much sugar. I can't drink much of it anymore, if at all. It's very seldom that I do. But I guess we'll get a 12-pack. You're not a Mountain Dew guy. You get a 6-pack and maybe drink them over the course of a year. If they don't eat through the bottles by then, that's pretty
so we
fair.
get Citrus Blast.
Oh, okay. What color is it?
Green.
Okay, so that's probably the equivalent of our Baja Blast.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'll chuck an image in the Discord.
That's not going to work. I'm on a damn podcast. I don't know if you know that right now.
LOL.
Yeah, but Tark can find it.
Tark, all right, Tark,
I'm
verify
looking for
whether
the
it's
bird.
Baja Blast or not.
I'll look.
When Discord wants to work. Anyway.
Yeah, here's, by the way, the Mountain Zoo. And that's going to start today. So let's go by
Also,
Mountain
here's
Dew.
a link as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, I could actually click that one without
Maybe this is old news, but what the hell?
screw up the cameras.
Mountain Dew is banned in the EU because it contains brominated vegetable oil. It might be old.
Is that? It looks like it's clear. Like the bottle looks. Is that the color of the liquid or the color of the bottle?
I want to say the bottle.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the 33 grams of sugar, and it's got a big red flag. High, 37%.
Yep. Yeah, Discord does
It's
some
ugly as
process.
sin, but another mount, so you'll get it. Yeah. See, they get you. It's because of the coloring. That is the Liquid Ninja? Okay. Then, yeah, I mean, that kind of looks very similar to Baja Blast.
Yeah,
It's like
cheers,
that
Ninja.
light, pale greenish color. Anyway, let us know what Mountain Dew you have in your neck of the woods, wherever you're watching the show from. There's like a yellow one at KFC. I can't remember what flavor it is.
Code Red's the best.
Code Red. Ugh. Mountain Dew at KFC. Let's find out what this one is. Sweet Lightning is what they call it. Is a sweet peach and smooth something. Sweet peach and smooth honey flavor. Yeah, I've never had that, and I don't intend to. So there you go. One of the flavors is over 100%. Oh, on the UK sugar facts thing that I was just looking at.
Well, not surprised.
Anyway, we have turned into a PepsiCo podcast. That was basically it from the live letter. I just recapped 5 hours for you in 27 minutes.
There was
Obviously-
that one comment that you should.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was some other comment stuff. I'll let you spoil it, Flynn. Go ahead.
Oh, the thing that got me, I noticed some of the readers noticed this as well, is you'll be going, yeah, we're just sort of prepping for 8.0. But why?
What?
Why what?
Exactly. So why prep for 8.0 when you promised us job changes and fancy stuff now?
I mean, fair.
I don't know.
Huh.
Been a rough week, by the way, for the Final Fantasy XIV servers. About a week and a half
it's been
now.
fun trying to do instances this week.
They're getting
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
anything.
they're getting DDoS to hell and back, and Square is having a hard time controlling it. Yoshi P even said, like, this is the worst he's ever seen something like this happen, so it's not exactly the best of times for connections and stability across the world of Eorzea. I guess one other thing that they did talk about on the live letter was the benchmark, right? Those graphic changes and improvements to the benchmark, those are still coming. So we've got.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's dumb that it happened the way it did. Like,
Yeah.
the benchmark was based on the old character creation system. Oops. How did you do that? Like, I don't know.
Archaic systems being fixed. That is what 7.0 is.
Hey, did either of you buy the tabletop RPG? I know all three of us were like really interested in it.
I've put in an order with my local game store. No idea if I'm getting it. Because
they're doing a reprint of it. They're doing another run in September. So the second wave will be the English second wave will be September of this year. It's going to be identical to the first. So it'll be $59.99. Reprint's going to be the same, all that stuff, and then that's the whole starter set for the tabletop RPG. Your FF14 D&D without the D&D label. So that's
Awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't get a chance to.
Friends,
I totally forgot about it. I guess, gents, we now have to move on to some darker news.
Sadness. Tears. Crying.
Final Fantasy maker Square Enix not in the best of spots right now. And if you haven't seen the writing on the wall for this for a long time now, I think you've probably just been fooling yourself.
Or you haven't been
They've
watching
made
the show.
changes to staff. They've made changes to projects. Things were never meeting sales expectations. We thought some of it at one point might have been, hey, maybe they're trying to slim down, make themselves a little more attractive to a buyout. You know, when Activision was purchased by Microsoft, when Bungie was picked up by Sony, maybe Square was trying to get into that fun stuff. Then just a few shows ago, we talked about how there were plans to do business differently. Well, now it came time to actually release financials. And to say it is not good would be a bit of an understatement, I think. So off the top, and this is not like, hey, we just lost this money. So I got to contextualize part of this. They're going to have $140-ish million lost project or canceled project hit. Now, that is not saying, hey, we lost $140 million. That's different, although their financials did take a hit as a result of this and other things. But they are canceling a ton of projects. Now, they didn't specifically say what, so we don't know if certain rumored remakes are still in the works or not. There really was no indication of these are the things we're letting go. We do know that Square Enix is hit by layoffs across their publishing division, their IT division, and the Collective brand, which is really unfortunate because I like a lot of the stuff that comes out of the Collective brand, and I think that gives a spotlight on some projects that don't really get spotlights all that often. Unfortunately, it's taking a hit too. The financials are down because of 140 million in content abandonment losses. It's basically when you write off a loss for tax purposes because you canceled a project that, or Warner Brothers just recently did it with movies, right? We're never going to release this movie. It's a loss, so that they can use it as a tax write-off.
Sure.
Their full statement, Tark, says, at the meeting convened on March 27th, the board of directors of Square Enix Holdings Company Ltd. Voted, in light of a myriad changes underway in the environment surrounding its group, to revise the group's approach to the development of high-definition games, HD games, with the intention of being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources. As a result of a close examination of the group's development pipeline undertaken in keeping with this revised approach, the company expects to recognize 22.1 billion yen in content abandonment losses on its books for the fiscal year ended March 2024, which then resulted in a stock slide. They're also renaming some divisions, including what was formerly Creative Business Unit 3. Yoshi P is getting a new title. It's still the same teams when it comes to this, the Final Fantasy XIV aspect, still the same teams. They're just getting a new name and some new titles. But these reorgs are happening all over the company as they aggressively switch gears. And Tark, one of the biggest points on this is that they are quote-unquote aggressively going after a multi-platform strategy. Kind of stunning, right? Holy hell. Who knew?
Yeah.
If you made games for multiple systems, it might be a little more profitable than if you made it for one and signed a deal with that devil.
More options for where your game can be. Hey, there's more options for people to buy it. Shocker. I don't care how much money, well, unless it's like Brink's truck, open up a bank kind of Sony money. But like, I don't know if Sony's been doing that. We've never seen like numbers on how much Sony's given for these exclusive rights. So I'm feeling, multi-platform probably a better way for them to go. And so they have, haven't we said it like many times, like they really need to rein in their expectations for a lot of titles. But that's probably part of
from
why
the digital entertainment
canceling
segment, their actual sales were up a little over 2%, almost a little over 2.5%, but their profit was down almost 16%.
Ouch.
And that is in a release period, gang, that included Final Fantasy XVI and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Ouch.
That's rough.
Yeah. You might be saying like 7's not doing well. I mean, it's a great game. It's like its scores are critically just up across the board. I think the main issue is that Remake was on PS4 and then PS5, where Rebirth's just on PS5 and the install base is just nowhere near where the PS4 was at the end of its life cycle. So, and COVID, everyone was trapped because of COVID. So
yeah, and Flynn, we don't really actually have sales figures for Rebirth. Like we heard 16, right, when it hit the what was it, the 3 million mark, I think.
Yeah.
Where we had that whole report where it did not meet the high end of their expectations. And they came back and kept saying that because the initial reports were like, it failed to meet expectations. And they're like, that's not what we said. We said it failed to meet the high end of those expectations. Now, going back, when Final Fantasy VII Remake went through 3.5 million copies in 3 days when it launched on the PlayStation 4 in April, an exclusive to the PS4 at the time, in April 2020, Final Fantasy XV sold 5 million units in its first day. That was on PS4 and Xbox One when that came out. 16, though, being a 15 exclusive, hit that 3 million mark over the course of the first week, and then we really hadn't seen anything about its sales after that. And we haven't seen jack about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales. Now, GameIndustry.biz, Christopher Dring over there, reports that Rebirth launch sales were down 34% over the remake launch, but up 6% over the launch of Final Fantasy XVI, which is a little bit of a weird picture for you Europeans. I guess specific to Great Britain, it being Christopher. So, and then in Japan, We actually do get some physical hard data physical sales, but not downloaded sales. If you look at just the physical, Rebirth had a tough time there too, compared to other Final Fantasy games. It was the second biggest PS5 launch in Japan, behind 16, but was a less pleasant picture if you compared it to other Final Fantasy games. Remake crushed it. They crushed it. And even 15 crushed it as well. So, I don't know if I'd necessarily say those titles, 16 and Rebirth, are struggling. But I could certainly see, Flynn, another situation where Square just says they failed to meet expectations. They're selling well, but not as well as they needed / forecasted them to.
Oh, definitely. I'm having a quick look on PSN profiles in our trophy trackers. So 16 currently has 89,959 public unique accounts for trophies. And 7 Rebirth is at 37,000. Which is quite a difference.
Just a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
Whereas
and apparently, by the way, Foam Stars failed to meet expectations. There's a shocking piece of fucking news for you, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what expectations could have possibly been put on that game that it failed to meet expectations.
I think we all said it should have just been free to play and just leave it.
And it should never have been PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
Ever.
Square's been making dumb
Put that on the
decisions
Switch.
for a
Let's
very,
go.
very long time.
It's just so weird. Finally, this is good news if you don't own a PlayStation 5 and you like Square Enix games. No doubt, right? Because now it's going to be an increased likelihood you're going to see them on PC, on Xbox, on the Nintendo Switch, on all these other platforms. That's great. Xbox seems to be shifting in that direction too. There were reports today that their future, I forget the code name that they have for their kind of future outlook plan. It was actually a pretty good one. Shit, I can't remember. Chat, if any of you saw it today, let me know. But they're going to be taking down the bars on exclusivity on their own platforms and pushing their games to other platforms as well. Yeah, when you make that deal, Tark, with a company where you say, okay, we'll make it PS5 exclusive, you have to then set reasonable expectations, plus the money Sony is going to give you. Does that equal or exceed what your expectations may be if you put it on all platforms? And there was probably a deal done a few years ago where there was a bundle, right? This was hey, do this Final Fantasy, do this, and do this. Make them all Sony exclusive for whatever our console is at the time, right? So that's probably how a couple of these I feel like got tied in together into this exclusivity deal, and it didn't pan out. The numbers just didn't pan out, and now the companies, like it or not, they're in a little bit of trouble. Do I think they're going to close tomorrow? No, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to close tomorrow. Are there going to be more people laid off? Definitely. They've already confirmed that. What's it going to look like 6 months from now? I don't know. It is a scary time to not only be a video game employee in general, but to be a Square Enix employee, Tark.
I agree. I am hopeful that this new diversification onto multiple platforms bears fruit. But I am a little bit worried about, the developers. Are they going to have jobs with less projects going around? I'm fearful for some of my favorite IPs, maybe just never seeing the light of day ever again. Is that the last time I see a Valkyrie game? Anything new with Star Ocean? I don't think that necessarily did pretty well with the Divine Force. I know that the remake did pretty well and got rave reviews. But there's a lot of questions about, what crosses that threshold for, top tier HD games for them to continue making. Is it just going to be Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and heck, I don't even know, maybe Nier or not Nier, as we've been told?
Baron in chat saying the fact that PlayStation 5 was having problems manufacturing and releasing the stores didn't help at the time when 16 came out. Yeah. To Cal saying, not sure why people get into this industry. As a computer, if you have computer programming chops like physics, I'd get a job doing fluid simulations for like FEMA or something. Maybe not a life passion, but safe. It's my son is going to Rochester Institute of Technology, Torchwick, on this channel, in game design. And I encouraged him when he decided on the college he wanted to go to and all the scholarships and stuff, that like when all that was decided, I encouraged him to minor in straight software engineering, which is what my degree is specifically. One of mine is software engineering with an emphasis on relational databases, creation, management, and maintaining. And I encouraged him minor in software engineering. Gaming is volatile to begin with. Under the best of circumstances, gaming is volatile, right? An MMO comes out, they had this big, long 200, 300 person staff. An MMO comes out, and they cut that staff by 150 people right away because the development cycle for the main game is over. So it's already a bit of churn in the industry inherently based on what the industry does and what it's selling. Right now, we're seeing it exacerbated to a great degree in 2024. And so I encourage him to do the same. Takal's dead right. Like, have that backup plan. You mentioned Dragon Quest, Tark. I have a question, and this is not me, making some clickbaity topic here for a podcast. I am genuinely concerned, and I want to know if you cats are too, about the future of Dragon Quest. It's easy for us long-timers to look at Square Enix and say, your flagship titles are Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. Final Fantasy, yeah, I think even a casual fan would say, oh, that's, Square Enix, and would recognize the link. Is Dragon Quest a flagship title for Square? Is that a flagship IP anymore? I'd argue probably not. Not to diminish the success of Dragon Quest XI, Elusive Age, and some other titles, but I don't know if that's one that, like, oh, there's a new Dragon Quest game coming out. I don't think it has that same strong brand recognition, particularly here in the West. It certainly does in Japan, I would imagine.
Yeah,
but maybe not here in the West that it once did. And just a month ago, we were talking about, in their initial restructuring, before these financials came out, that the top producer, Yu Miyake, was stepping down from the series amidst the reorganization and the Dragon Quest XII delay. Will we see Dragon Quest XII, Flynn?
I have no idea. We've got Dragon Quest Day coming up on the 27th. Hopefully we get something Dragon Quest related then. But it's been so radio silent. It's...
Yeah.
Literally. Like, the news of the producer stepping down, Tark, was the first news we had in months, besides a slight graphics change and a report that in an interview they were talking about the battle system kind of being a hybrid thing that they were trying out. Which,
like I've said many times, like, can we just keep that turn-based? Like, can we keep one thing turn-based, please? But also, like, the lead character designer for all the spin-offs 1 through 11 passed away, Toriyama, right? So, like, they have to go a different artistic route as well. Like, is that going to hurt things? Maybe. Like,
Toriyama would have been fine with that based on an interview he did about Dragon Quest.
I mean,
he's just like, I regret doing it.
I forget doing it for so long. And I
Takao thinks we'll 100% see it, but it's going to take a good minute. I wish I had your confidence. I definitely want to see it. I don't know.
I mean, what other IPs of theirs are top tier?
I think. I mean, you're not wrong, but I think there were probably huge problems behind the scenes with Dragon Quest XII before this news.
I agree.
And this news certainly isn't going to help it.
No.
But you've seen about flagship. It does feel, because I'll bring up Persona, it does feel like Dragon Quest was the big thing, then Final Fantasy. But with Persona, it was SMT was the big thing, then came Persona, and everything was swapped around. It's like, does SMT even exist anymore? With how long SMT5 took to initially release. It does feel like we're in that sort of situation. Like, do you remember this series? Where's
if you want some Dragon Quest action, it might not be Dragon Quest 12, but if you are a younger head and you don't want to go back and play the original Dragon Quest because it's got all kinds of, product of its time.
Mm-hmm.
We got a fan thing for you, and this isn't new, but it's received some improvements lately that have really just made it definitely worth checking out. This is Nightfly's fan remake of the original Dragon Quest RPG, and he calls it Dragon Quest Plus because there's like 6 hours of new content added, a whole new dungeon, some new weapons, an orchestrated score.
Mini
you can go, yeah. It's free to play, obviously, because there would be copyright shit. It'll probably be shut down at some point. Square's in a suing mood, trust me.
We need to make money back. Who can we sue today?
Right. But if you want to check this out, you can. There's a specific client for AMD and NVIDIA GPUs. So head over to the Dragon's Den fan site and check this out. This was like, you want some happy Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest news? Here you go. Like, yeah, the Switch ports were pretty good.
Yeah,
they were. But go check this out. All right, Flynn, before we head over to Love It or Leave It, you added some things to the show notes. This first one, I came in to add, and when I saw it, and then saw that you had already popped it in here. So what's going on here?
There's something new in the works with Yoko Taro and Kiichi Okaba and Yosuke Saito.
Yeah, if this doesn't have anything to do with if this doesn't have anything to do with Nier, I'm never buying another product from them.
All I know is Yoko Taro's currently obsessed with Stellar Blade, and we know how he was with 2B, so we expect more booty regardless of what it is.
I don't know, guys. I think Babylon's Fall 2, Fall Harder is in the works. Let's go. Let's get that done.
There's no way that game's getting a sequel. There's zero.
The first game didn't last a year.
Yeah.
But what if it's Babylon's Rising?
Fall all the way.
For like the last 2 months of its life, there was literally one person playing it.
And they're like, I need to get the platinum.
This has to be Nier. Hopefully.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Or Nier adjacent, like Dragon Guard. Continuing the universe at least, right?
No, it needs to be a main line.
It needs to be a Nier? All right.
Yeah, it needs to be. I'm sick of like getting the announcements for Nier this on your mobile. Fuck you. Nier this on your mobile. God damn it, I hate this company.
What if they name it Nier Blade Stellar Booty?
What a put up Yoko Taro.
That could work. And I know, Flynn, you wanted to talk about the Rising Tide DLC a little more for Final Fantasy XVI and some of your Rebirth stuff. Obviously, I am not equipped to speak on either of those, and Tark is far less equipped than I to speak on either of those. So I'm going to give you the last few minutes before we head over to Love It or Leave It to talk about these two things in any way you want, friend.
Cool. I'll start with Rebirth. When I was playing it through, I was enjoying the weird story beats, the extra revelations that he was trying to do. Then it got to a point where things felt off with the game, in whether it's graphically, where mountains were not rendered, and now I'm done with it. I have no itch to replay it. I don't remember a lot of it. It kind of fell out of my brain pretty quick. And that's my takeaway for Rebirth. As much as Yuffie is the standout character all the way through Rebirth, she has a few songs she sings and they get stuck in my head. But yeah, it's weird. Like, they changed the location of a very major part of the game, and it boggled my brain. And that's as much as I can say that. Then going into Rising Tide after it, and just like graphical fidelity all the way was amazing. The story was really cool. Tomberries are beyond scary. You walk up Tomberry, seeing it with hands, seeing it tower over you with a cleaver that would make Titan soil himself. You're like, okay. You know, going through in Final Fantasy difficulty, so it's already level 110. I'm at 91. And my usual Odin tricks are not doing what they're meant to. It was a lot more visual, a lot more memorable, and the icon battle against Leviathan. There's a DPS check. It's a 5-6 phase fight, and the DPS check is phase 3. It took me at least 10 attempts to work out how to perfectly time an Ifrit combo to do enough damage. It was nutty. They're just like, yeah, we made the main game too easy. Use difficulty. And then they added like a new arcade mode, and you would get access to Ultima's powers, so you get even more toolkit to make yourself look fancy in your fantasy may cry.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed at least one of the two of those.
Yeah. 16 is the only game in recent memory that I've completed it and went straight back through. And I wish 7 Rebirth left out.
I wish it would have been like that for me, man. I enjoyed 16. I enjoyed the story. When I got to the end and opened up the additional difficulty and, you know, go after, I was like, I have no desire to do this again. I mean, to me, the game was just very linear. It was like, go do your thing from here to here to here to here to here and be done. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that style of game. It's just not what I was looking for in a Final Fantasy game. I enjoyed it from a story-wise. Felt very Final Fantasy. But yeah, you know, even the like side stuff to do was very directed, very focused, very on your way in most cases. And I enjoyed the game. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. Thought it was an average adventure game with maybe an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 for the story. But when I was done, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this again. So it's wild that like we have these two polar opposite opinions of the replay. But we both enjoyed the game itself.
Yeah.
But why you keep going back in, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I just like the will more. I think there's 2 things that majorly soured me with Rebirth. One is Chadley. It was Fallout 4 with Preston Garvey. We have another settlement that needs your help, instead of you just, you know, AFK for 2 seconds, Chadley's going, you haven't given me any more world intel. You haven't given me any more world intel. I'm phoning you. You haven't given me any more.
What did I tell you? The first week the game came out and we came to the show, and I told you I'm sick of his voice already.
Yeah, he needed to be removed. So moment.
Ninja Panda's saying that 16 is probably one of those games you play and complete and then come back to it, play it again years later. I could definitely see me doing that.
Sure.
But when the credits rolled, I was like,
I'm done.
Yeah. I enjoyed what I did. I don't want to do it again. Yeah, I know I could create some other weapons and there's a couple extra things, but no, I'm fine. I'm good. Moving on. Speaking of moving on, let's hit up some Love It or Leave It. My dog's barking upstairs throughout this entire intro sequence for Love It or Leave It. Love It or Leave It is the way we end every episode of the Relic Grind here on Ready Check Radio. It's where I give you something Square Enix related. It could be a feature in a game, something they've done, something they've said, or even just something tangentially related to Square Enix, because it's my show, and I'll do what I damn well please. And you tell me whether you love it, want more of it, or leave it, set it aside, never to see it again. And so I want to know, gents, while it may be painful right now, and for a bit of the foreseeable future, is Square Enix's reorganization and shifting to a multi-platform strategy and a condensing of the projects it's working on something that you want to see this company do to thrive in the future? Love the changes or leave them, setting aside that there's obviously very human impacts to things like layoffs and stuff like that. And I'm going to assume none of us here are fans of loving layoffs or anything like that. But as far as the direction of the company, Love it or leave it, Flynn.
For the sake of a multi-platform strategy, love it. The more players we have enjoying these games, we'll have these stories we'll have, the better. Just a shame of the backside of what's causing it.
Tark.
I love the multi-platform strategy. I don't love the condensing of the titles because I feel there's going to be a lot of IPs that I love that are just going to go the way of the dodo. Maybe if with this multi-platform strategy, if they see good profits, maybe they start like, okay, we have enough now. We can, think about doing a title for this one that's been in the drawer for a while. So overall, right now though, I'll probably have to say leave it. I'm not really digging the whole vibe of Square Enix right now.
I'm going to go with love it. And Takal says something in chat here that says, love it. Focus on what works and sells. That's how you keep your company afloat. Creativity means nothing without cash. And there's a lot of truth to that statement. Like it or not, there just is. It's a business at the end of the day. But I think there's something specifically in there that I do want to mention. While I love the focus, obviously hate the downside of what shifting to this focus becomes, there is a concern for me. And to Cal's point on focus on what works and sells is the concern for me. According to Square Enix, none of it has actually worked or sold to the degree that they need it to, want it to, and expect it to. And that's a huge concern for me. That it is now a running joke that Square Enix doesn't sell anything to its expectations. That can happen. But when it happens on every project, your leadership is doing something wrong when it is making its forecasts, which in turn impacts budgeting, which in turn impacts what projects you start and don't start. You have to be doing this right, and they just aren't. I love the refocus. I love the multi-platform strategy. I want them to succeed. I love their damn products. In fact, there's a lot of places where it's hard to give Square Enix money because they're just so archaic in stupid systems in some places that I would love to give them money. But I am concerned, even though I love the focus. That's going to do it here for this episode of the Relic Grind. We'll be back maybe next Thursday if there's some news to cover. If not, I'll give the gang the week off. No problem. Thank you for joining us. Until next week, Paul, Mr. Flynn, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on X at Flynn_Lawlight or Within Crisis, and find me over on Twitch at Within Crisis, playing some Stellaris, playing some 14, playing some Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Tark.
You can find me at Twitter at Tarkoth Gaming, playing Final Fantasy XIV most days of the week since I'm finally moved and settled, as you can see. And then on Saturday nights, you can find me here on Ready Check Radio, and we are currently in Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah, you just kicked it off this past weekend.
Good
Speaking of streaming, chat, don't go anywhere. We're going to have Faye up next, pushing through the end of Baldur's Gate 3 with everybody. It's been a few weeks. She's been out doing some other stuff, but she's back. How are you, Faye?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there. Looking forward to the light at the end of the Baldur's Gate 3 tunnel, which is most likely a train.
Probably. It was probably a train, but it is a joyous tunnel to be walking through. Are you still enjoying it as much as you did dozens of hours ago when this all started?
I am. That's the magic of this game. There are very few games lately that have been able to grab me all the way through to where even after weeks later, I am very much looking forward to jumping in. I needed a Baldur's Gate brain break.
It is one where you finish it too and you're like, I want to do that again. Except these are the changes I'm going to make. It definitely does that. So chat, don't go anywhere. We'll go dark for just a minute or two, relabel things on the stream here, and then Faye will be right back. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, and you'll know every time we're going live with a podcast. If we're hanging out playing some Final Fantasy TCG on Monday nights, which we will be back to normal schedule this Monday, or we're just hanging out playing some games. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.